The day she accused me of stealing her diamond ring. Something inside me quietly shattered. She stood in the doorway, trembling with anger, her voice sharp as glass, her eyes filled with blame. "You were the only one home this morning," she said. I froze because her tone was not of confusion, but conviction. Then my son walked in, still holding his tie. His face half calm, half unsure. "Mom, just tell us if you saw it." "Anywhere," he said, and that was the moment. The air changed forever. They searched my purse, my drawers, my closet, every corner of my life, and I stood there in silence. Because when your own child doubts you, your voice is the first thing that disappears. That night I sat by the window. The moonlight fell across my late husband's photo, and I whispered, "Richard, what have I done to deserve this?" But life has a way of revealing the truth. When you stop begging for it 2 days later, I walked into a jewelry shop and the past finally spoke. It began that morning. She came running down the stairs, shouting, "My ring is gone." Her words sliced the quiet air like a knife through glass. Everyone turned to look at me. She pointed her finger and said, "You were in my room cleaning, weren't you? You must have taken it." That ring was the one I had once worn proudly, a gift from my husband. On our 10th anniversary, the one I thought I had lost forever when she found it years ago and claimed it as an heirloom. I stayed quiet for peace, but now that same silence was being used against me. My son entered. "Mom, please just tell us honestly, did you maybe move it?" Somewhere his voice sounded kind, but his eyes did not, and that is when I realized sometimes the people you love most can wound you the deepest without even raising their voice. Sometimes betrayal does not come from strangers. It comes from the eyes that once called you mom. They searched everything, every drawer, every cupboard, every corner. They even opened my prayer box where I kept my rosary and letters from my husband. I stood there quietly, not because I was afraid, but because I refused to defend myself against a lie. My daughter-in-law glared and said, "Why are you silent? Guilty people always stay quiet." I looked at her and saw not hatred, but fear. The fear of losing the illusion of control, the fear of guilt that hides behind loud words. My son said softly, "Mom, just tell us where it is. Please let us end this." But they had already dragged it too far. They had dragged my heart through doubt. "If you find it here, keep it," I said. "I do not want it anymore," and I turned away before the tears could fall. That night, one packed my bag, a few clothes, my husband's watch, and one photo, and I left the house quietly at my old home. The silence felt heavy but honest. There was no suspicion there, only peace. Sometimes peace costs you your home, but buys you back your self-respect. 2 days later, I went to the old jewelry shop, the one my husband used to take me to every anniversary. The bell above the door chimed softly. The air smelled like silver polish and old velvet. The jeweler looked up and said, "Mrs. Hawley, it has been a long time. How are you?" I told him everything about the missing ring, the shouting, the humiliation. He listened carefully, then pulled out a big leather ledger, its pages yellow and fragile, yet full of memories. After a moment, he stopped and smiled gently. "I remember this one," he said. "Your husband ordered it himself. He told me make it special for the woman who made my life worth living." He turned the book to me. There was a faded receipt from 35 years ago, with my husband's name written clearly, Richard Hale. The same ring, the same engraving, the same love I thought was lost forever. The truth never disappears. It simply waits for the right hands to open the right page. That evening, I went back to their house. They were at the dinner table. I placed the receipt in front of them and said nothing. My son picked it up and read. His face went pale. At the bottom were the words, "Custom diamond ring, engraved forever yours, RH." The same ring she wore, the same one she said I stole my daughter In-law froze, tears filled her eyes, and she whispered, "I did not." No, but I knew she did. She had always known my. Son said softly, "Mom, I am sorry." And I replied, "Apologies do not erase." Suspicion may only show how deep it went. The truth does not always bring comfort. Sometimes it only shows how long you lived without it. I did not take the ring back. I could have, but I chose peace instead. I went to a charity for widows, placed the ring in the donation box, and whispered a quiet prayer. When my son asked why I gave it away, I said, "Because my dignity was stolen, not the ring." And today I got it back. He cried and hugged me, and for the first time I saw my son again, not the man who doubted me. That night I sat by the window, the same moonlight, the same photo, but this time there were no tears, only peace. When they accuse you of what you never did, do not waste your breath proving it. Walk away with grace, because truth does not shout. It simply shines. Tell me in the comments, have you ever been blamed for something you did not do? Tap like if you believe karma. Never forget subscribe for more stories where silence becomes strength and truth returns home.